Recording. Okay. Alrighty. Developing your brand. So I'm just going to jump right into it, but I really wanted to go over this just because I feel like I've been getting a lot of questions about it, and I think it's something that seems kind of overwhelming at first, and I think at times we almost like overcomplicate it too, because it just seems like this big scary thing and like this big marketing term, when it can really be much simpler than that. So I'm really gonna just break it down for you guys, but before that, let me put that so I can see. Okay, so updates for this month. The December boot camp for our team-wide one starts on the 3rd, which is tomorrow. A team-wide coaching information session this week, the 5th and the 6th, which is Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And then Transform 20 starts its kind of pre-launch thing this month. So the whole program isn't officially launched until next year, but it's kind of like if you were around when Lift 4 came out, like they do a pre-launch where it's kind of just a way to build hype about the program, kind of get people to experience it, get to know it a little bit better. So they'll do things where they like launch sample workouts or like sections of the program so people can get a little taste of what it's all about. Somebody muted. Okay. So that comes out on the 11th. There's going to be a sample workout, which you guys can do, and that's available to everybody. Okay, so jumping into it. Understanding branding. So there's 3 main components to it. The appearance of your overall page, your voice, which is going to be more kind of the story that you tell on your page, your own journey, and your own values that you share through your comments on your photos and things like that. And then consistency. So keeping the appearance that you have and the voice consistent across all of your posts. So that way you have this overall brand created through that consistency. All right, so mostly it comes down to appearance is the big one, because you want your whole page to look cohesive, to have this overall feel to it, and to look like one picture relates to the one next to it. So really what I think of is what colors are you drawn to, patterns, prints, objects, things like that, things that you kind of see over and over again in your life that you're drawn to. Your certain colors that you really enjoy, whether they're like bright, vibrant colors or kind of more muted tones, things that you really enjoy in that way. That's going to be a reflection of you and who you are as a person. And I'm going to kind of get into what those different colors mean in a second. And then how do you want people to feel when they look at your page? So that will also be related to how different colors will kind of create different emotional responses from people when they look at them. And what kind of words describe you, or do people often use to describe you? And we'll get into how the colors kind of reflect those things. So this is just a basic overview of how colors kind of reflect different emotions in people when they look at them and how they make them feel. So like more blue tones kind of make people feel a sense of loyalty, trust, peace, more relaxed. Turquoise is more spiritual, healing. Green has a feeling of healing, earthy, something new. Yellow is bright, sunny, energetic. So we have all these different tones that create all these different emotions in us when we look at them. And like if you notice, like a lot of companies will use the color red because that's something that really kind of puts us on alert. If you think of like the color red is on like fire trucks, stop signs, all these things that kind of stop and grab our attention. So a lot of companies wind up using that color like in their logos, in their ad campaigns, because it's something that automatically kind of creates that emotion in us and puts us on alert to stop and like look at what it is. So not only thinking of what the colors you enjoy are, but kind of the emotional response you want to get from people, and how you want that to kind of translate onto your page, and whether you want to go for the more, bright inviting kind of happy colors, or if you like things that are more muted tones. And there's not a right or a wrong to that. It's just kind of more what you're drawn to, because your page is supposed to be that reflection of you and who you are. And that's how you, again, attract like your tribe of people and people who are similar to you and are going to wind up having those same kind of preferences. So you can be the person who enjoys those bright, happy, vibrant, like exciting colors, or someone who enjoys those more muted, like conservative tones, like over on this side. So here are some examples. So really it comes down to having it be consistent. So you want the same filter, the same kind of color scheme across all of your photos so it looks cohesive and you have that overall feel to your page. So like if you look at mine, I have a lot of orangey tones and like blue kind of turquoisey tones in mine. Gabby has a lot of blue in hers, which makes sense for her because she lives like by the ocean, by the beach. So she has a lot of blue tones, which like plays into that. But then she also uses a lot of different prints that are kind of like island based prints. Like she has like pineapples that she wears a lot. I think that's like a palm leaf dress. So she has like all these different prints that also kind of reflect what she's drawn to, but also her overall lifestyle of like living in Hawaii and that island life. And then Ashley Molstad, she's, you know, like very much into like glitter and unicorns and like bright pink and stuff like that. So you see that on her page and how she like really pops out the pink tones and everything. But then she also kind of, it's like a, almost like a brown and pink kind of theme on hers. So what's really an easy way to kind of choose what colors to go with, what kind of filter you want to go with, is also just like kind of reflecting on things that you are drawn to and things that are in like your closet that you own a lot of, because that just makes it easier to have that cohesive look across all your photos, because it's going to be a color that repeats itself just kind of like naturally in what you wear. So that's kind of why I chose what I chose for mine, because a lot of my closet winds up being like this kind of rusty orange color and blue. So it's easy for me to kind of enhance those colors in my photos and to make it look more cohesive, because it's something I'm always wearing. Okay. So different, also, if you look at mine too, like just talking interest wise, like I have a lot of things that are like succulent related. So also playing on your interest and things like that, because that's also something that's like branded to you and something people are going to remember. So like going back onto like the prints of things, like I have a cactus printed phone case that's in a lot of the pictures. My like succulents are in the background of things. I have like cactus print notebooks and things like that. So just that like cohesive things, not only just the colors, but things that are of interest to you. So different apps to use. I personally use VSCO for everything. I think it's just super straightforward and easy to use. So that's why I love it, because I'm not someone who's very like tech savvy as far as editing goes, and you don't have to be to create that cohesive look. Like I definitely do it without being very tech savvy about it. So I'm going to break down for you guys like exactly how I do it and show you how simple it is. And then this is another one I love. It's called Mextures. So that one, So that one's really fun because it has just a bunch of kind of unique things. Like it'll kind of make your photos look more old-fashioned. There's ones with like light leaks on them and just kind of some more unique kind of filters that you can use on your photos that people don't see very often. And then Lightroom is another big one. So I'm sure you've seen people like selling their Lightroom presets and things like that. So if you want this more cohesive look, but you're not really sure how to do it in a way that looks professional and you're not really comfortable with doing that, I highly suggest you can go on Etsy and literally you can buy a preset for like $5, and then it's all done for you. All the settings are figured out, and then you already have this look that you know you are really drawn to and you enjoy. And you can just put it in, copy and paste from picture to picture, do a little tweaks to make it fit the photo, since every photo is a little bit different, and then you're good to go. Or you can also, if you go with VSCO, You can go on Pinterest and you can search for VSCO recipes, and it'll show up. It will like give you examples of what it looks like, and then it tells you exactly like how to set settings to make it look good, and you can just kind of test them out on a few of your photos and see if it looks good. Okay. And then it comes down to your voice. So there's 3 different major components to developing your voice. It comes down to your values, your audience, and then your authenticity. So I'm going to break all of those down for you guys. So your values, thinking of what makes you special, unique, what you stand for, what's a theme or a common challenge or lesson that has kept occurring throughout your life. So not just Beachbody, not just, you know, health and fitness, but why does this matter to you? And really thinking of like, what is your deeper message that you're trying to portray on your page? Why is doing this so important to you? And I took this course earlier this year, and they really broke down kind of figuring out who you're trying to speak to and what the message you're trying to send is. So they had a bunch of different questions that they had us answer, and I wrote them down. I can type these out for you guys and post them in the team group so you can have like that visual representation and really sit down and think about it. But really just taking like the 5 minutes to write these out really helped me kind of form that image in my mind of like, oh, this is like a common theme that keeps coming up in my life, and this is like what matters to me, and this is what like I really want to talk about through my health and fitness journey. So here are some of the questions. What do I want to work my life supporting? What do I want to work my life standing for? What do I want to represent to the world? Let's see. What's something you struggle with? What do you dislike in your life right now? What do you want more of in your life? Who do you have as a support system? What makes you feel lonely? What makes you feel happy? What makes you feel energized? What are some of your deepest, darkest secrets that you have struggled with when you lay down at night? And just, I can type those up for you guys, but really just thinking of like what your overall kind of journey has looked like, what your overall challenge has been, and how that's connected to your health and fitness journey, how that's connected to why you wanted to become a coach. And that's really what you're portraying on your page. So for me, like my whole life story was kind of like this struggle of like self-doubt and like self-confidence and things like that. So on my page, that's a lot of what everything gets tied back to. It's not just me working out, it's me working out because when I wasn't working out, I felt so awful about myself. And it's, to me, it's not me working out to lose weight, it's me working out to feel comfortable in my skin. And it's this constant conversation on my page of like why this matters to me, why I work out to feel good about myself and to feel strong instead of weak anymore. And this constant conversation of like self-love and growth. And that's like my overall theme. And then that's something that also has played a lot into my coaching posts as well, and like this idea of like building belief in myself. And that's why this matters so much to me, of like not settling anymore and giving into all that self-doubt, but doing something that really like fuels me up and makes me feel good and makes me want to like wake up every day and do something, not just for myself, but other people. And so you kind of have to think about like what those big things are for you. What are those big why things for why your fitness journey is important to you and why coaching was important to you. And that's kind of what you tie in to your posts and everything each time. And this is why I say that like branding gets so, I think, overcomplicated, because really all you're doing is representing yourself. You're kind of taking everything that you're really drawn to, that you really enjoy, and you're just kind of like making it 10 times what it is, you know? Like you're taking those colors that you really like and you're like saturating them so they pop more and so that people notice them more. You're taking those prints that you really like and you're drawn to, and you're just representing them in a bunch of different photos. So people who also are drawn to like plants or floral prints or whatever and like that aesthetic are also drawn to your page. You're taking those big moments of your story and you're repeating them over and over. And so that becomes your journey, and people with that similar journey are drawn to your page. Okay, so then your audience. So this is the same thing. So thinking of who you're trying to help and attract, but like I said, you're sharing your journey, you're sharing your story to attract someone who's been through those same things and can relate to you. So most likely you're attracting someone just like you. And you'll hear a lot of people call it your avatar, which is, it's literally just someone who, like these questions say, someone, so you're thinking of like what they're like. So you're thinking of where you were at before you signed up with Beachbody, you know, what kind of career were you in, or are you in now? What did you feel like physically? What did you feel like mentally? What kind of mindset or space were you in where you wanted to make this decision to become a coach? Or health and fitness journey wise, like what kind of mindset were you in where you decided you wanted to start working out? Because you want to speak to people who are in kind of like the muck of the situation that you were in, because that's what's going to inspire them to come out of it, because they're going to see you taking that step forward and you working on yourself and wanting to be better, and then they're going to kind of start to connect the dots of how that's possible for them too. So really you're just speaking to like yourself a few months ago or yourself a year ago, and whatever that may be for you. And then the last part is authenticity. So making sure that your page is a true representation of you and what you like, not that you're looking at like a top 10 coach or someone else who is successful and looking what they're doing on their page and thinking that that's the only way to do it and that's what you need to look like. It's going to be a lot harder to write posts if you're kind of trying to mimic someone else's story or their values that they hold close to them. It's going to be really hard to kind of make a cohesive page and something that looks like you if you're trying to mimic what someone else appreciates. And I know this from personal experience because when I first started, I remembered looking at some video of like Angie talking about how she edits photos and talking about like the filter she uses and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, if like I use that filter that she uses, like my page will look beautiful. But I wound up hating it because it was like, it was kind of like a pink tone to it and it was light and stuff. And like, it wasn't a representation of me or who I am. It was a representation of Angie and what she liked. So really making sure that you're honing in on the things that you appreciate as a person and allowing it to really to kind of put up those blinders and ignore what everybody else is doing and just to do you and focus on what's going to represent you truthfully, because that's really what's going to build trust with your audience and make them want to connect with you and trust what you're saying. Okay. So what builds your overall brand is those things consistently. So having a consistent appearance, having that consistent color scheme, having your photos match from one photo to another and look cohesive all together, and then having those consistent values and topics that you discuss, those common themes, repeat themselves from photo to photo. And also having your consistent audience, which that might change a little bit from time to time. Like maybe you go through a different life event. Like I know there's coaches on the team who became pregnant. Like obviously your audience is going to kind of like change at that point, because then your fitness journey changes. Your whole like mental game of like why coaching is important to you probably changes too. So your audience is probably going to shift with that and kind of adapt with you over time as you go through different things. But making sure that like you're not trying to connect and please everyone, that you're trying to connect with the people who are like you and have those similar experiences as you. Because if you're trying to, there's this saying that's like, if you're trying to talk to everyone, you're talking to no one, because it's just not going to make sense. It's going to seem kind of wishy-washy. So really honing in on who your people are. Okay. And then your personal bio. So I just wanted to put this in here because it's a nice way to kind of sum up your whole brand on your page, what you're all about, and especially give people who are coming to your page and just looking at it really quickly, trying to see what you're all about. It gives them that quick synopsis so they can kind of see what your whole brand is about, what you kind of talk about on your page. So your personal bio should describe 3 to 5 things about your brand. something about what you do in your own words. So I'll have some examples of this. Typical topics that are discussed on your page, major aspects of your story or journey, and key interests that you might show on your page. Hey, no. Greg, can you grab him? He's eating my Christmas present for someone. Okay. So here are some examples of personal bios. So if you look at Ashley Smith, she says wife and mama of 2, saved by grace. So, you know, she's a little bit religious. She'll probably be talking about that on there a little bit. Teacher to mompreneur. So you kind of know that she changed career paths, and that makes me curious, honestly, about like how she got into that and what she's doing. Finding myself through fitness, coffee lover. Let's be chat and be friends. Okay, so then Ashley Molstad, new mama who likes fitness and loves to party, which is totally on brand for her though, because she represents something that she talks about on her page all the time, is like not only her consistent like fitness journey and working out and everything like that, but she also has pictures of herself like out getting drinks and things like that, and getting cocktails and having fun, and kind of this sense of balance between living healthy and living her life, and how she's not willing to sacrifice one or the other. Passionate about helping women live a life they love without waiting on the wait. So that's how she describes what she does, which is so different from just teacher to mompreneur, you know? So it's really in your own words how you want to describe what you do. Then if you look at Holly Hillier, boy mom expecting baby number 2, engineer turned fitness and business mentor, finding grace through fitness. And then Haley Christian, from 19-hour workdays to free bird, PDC, I think that's her husband, rescued, workout for pizza, here to help the world live happy and free. So like clearly, you know, she works out so she can like work out and also feel good while eating food she enjoys, you know, and that's so different from someone else who works out so she can drink, you know, and it's like these different reasonings here, or, you know, finding herself through fitness, finding confidence or happiness or whatever through fitness. So just these small tweaks kind of represent who you are and why it matters to you in a different way, and really helps people kind of understand what they're going to see on their page. Okay. So this kind of just brings you through, I just want to throw this in here so you guys can see how easy it is to edit your photos on VSCO. I believe, I think they have some kind of free aspect of it that I used before I bought the like monthly subscription thing or a yearly subscription thing, but I don't really remember what you have access to. I pay for the yearly subscription. It's $20 a year. I see it as an investment in my business, but you can also go with the preset option and pay for a $5 preset, or like figure it out on your own in Lightroom. But I like this because they have so many different filters. So should I ever decide that I kind of want a different look on my page or whatever, it's so easy to kind of switch to something else. So what I really like is when you go in to pick your filter, like they have all these different settings kind of set up for you already. So if you like more warm tones like pinks and reds, or cool tones, kind of blue, green, purple, or vibrant, really bright colors, you can kind of pick and choose based on that interest already and look through to see what you like. But there is probably like 100 different filters on there. And when I went through, I did like a sample photo and tried it out on a bunch of different filters, and just kind of chose the one that I was drawn to the most, which is the one I've been using. But once I have my filter in there, I up the exposure just to make it a brighter photo. And sometimes I do a little more or less depending on like how good or bad the lighting is. And then I up the clarity just to make it a little bit sharper of a photo and make it look more crisp, which is really good, especially if there wasn't like good lighting in the room. It just makes it look a little bit better and like not gets rid of kind of like the blurry edges and things like that, makes it look more professional. And then how I really kind of tie in my brand section of it, which is those colors that I wear all the time that you see in all my photos. And so I really kind of make those pop in my photos. So I go into these color settings at the end, and then I click on orange, since that's a color that I wear a lot, and I kind of push it more, so it kind of goes from like a deeper orangey red to like a light orangey yellow, and I push it up a little bit more. So then if I'm wearing something that's red too, it kind of pushes it up more towards an orangey tone to make it match my page a little better. And then I up the saturation a little bit just to make it pop. And depending on what it looks like, sometimes you can play with the lightness too. If it's like too saturated, it'll just kind of lighten the color a little bit. And then I go to the blue as well, which goes from like this turquoise color to like a deep kind of indigo blue. And I turn it all the way to turquoise. And then I bump up the saturation, so it's like a super light blue, and then I make it super vibrant, and then I usually lighten it a little bit, depending on what it looks like in the photo. So you can kind of tweak things a little bit, but that's how I make it look cohesive with my brand and really make those colors that I wear all the time pop. And that's really what's going to make that cohesive look on your page, but also what really makes people kind of like question how you edit a lot of the time, because it has that cohesive look to it, because you have that look from photo to photo, and it just makes you look more professional, and that in itself kind of helps build more trust with your audience as well. But this is literally all I do. I do not really know how to edit photos at all, so I just stick it in here, boom, boom, boom. And then what I love about this is, what I love about this is you can also copy and paste edits. So at this point, I don't put any new edits into a photo when I upload a new photo. I just copy it from one photo, and then I paste it to the new one. So it automatically just transfers all of those settings to my new photo, and I can kind of tweak a few things if it looks a little weird on that photo, and I'm done. So it just makes the process so much quicker. Okay, so then the last thing before we finish, I just wanted to put action steps in here, because this literally means nothing unless you take that step forward and do something about it, put it into action, and take that step forward. So action steps moving forward, kind of homework for you guys, is to pick a color scheme. So thinking of colors that you enjoy a lot, whether it's like muted like pinks and tans and things like that, or if it's those brighter colors, think of colors that you see a lot in your closet or that you find yourself buying a lot, whether it's like throw pillows or blankets or like whatever it is, like colors that you are often drawn to and that automatically catch your eye, because that's going to be really easy for you to repeat over and over in your photos. And then picking a filter or preset to consistently use. So checking out those apps, seeing what you'd like. If you don't want to deal with figuring out how to edit on your own, like finding a preset that you enjoy, you can look on Etsy. There's a ton, or there's like different like influencers that will sell theirs and stuff. So if there's a consistent look that you enjoy, just recreate that. If that's something that you're already drawn to, just buy a preset that shows that same look, and it'll create that consistency on your page. And then thinking about, I'll type out those questions for you guys for thinking about like who your avatar is, what your purpose and your values are for your page, and thinking of a few things of like what those common themes are in your own journey, in your own story, whether it be in your health and fitness journey or for why you became a coach. And then describing your audience, which is really just where you were when you started. And if you don't have your bio together, putting that together, just so your page has that cohesive look to it and is all put together. And then from here, it's just like you put through all this background work, and then it just makes everything so much quicker on the once you have this all figured out, because it's so easy to just copy and paste all those edits from one thing to the next. You already have your bio set up, and you'll just have that more cohesive professional look to your page. So that is everything. Let me see. I have not looked at the chat. Yes, that's awesome, Jess, because they're so cheap, and I feel like it's worth it to do that and just like not have to to worry about it, to buy a preset, and your page looks really good. So I don't know if any of you guys have questions before we hop off. You can unmute yourselves or put it in the chat. I feel like I just went through that very quick, but that's usually how it goes. Alrighty, well, if nobody has any questions, I will let you guys go. I hope that was helpful. I'll post the recording and the slides so you guys can look back through, and I'll type up those questions for you guys. All right, bye ladies.